So 6 of the 7 banks who are here today, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Truist, US Bank, and PNC, jointly created and own the nation's most popular peer-to-peer payment platform, Zelle. The banks market Zelle as, quote, fast, safe, and an easy way to spend money, end quote. That is only partly true. It is definitely fast. Zelle is fast. Zelle is easy. And they increase bank profit margins, but Zelle is not safe. Last year alone, Zelle users were defrauded out of about $500 million that we know of. Now, you built the system, you profit from every transaction on the system, and you tell people that it is safe. But when someone is defrauded, you claim that's the customer's problem. We do oversight on the banking committee, so I want to know exactly how big this problem is. In July, other senators and I wrote to ask you how many fraudulent Zelle transactions your customers have reported since 2018. Only Mr. Rogers of Truist provided the data. 52,000 claims of fraud totaling $46 million. Thank you, Mr. Rogers, for being transparent. But the rest of you stonewalled. So today I get to ask you in person. Do I have any volunteers who want to go first and share the numbers that I asked for in July? Or will I just pick volunteers? Okay, Mr. Diamond, you represent the largest bank here today, so let me start with you. You didn't provide any of the information that we requested in our letter, none of it. So what I want to know is that because you don't keep track when your customers report fraudulent Zelle transactions, or is it because you do keep track and you know exactly how many fraudulent transactions have been reported and you want to keep that report a secret?
I deeply apologize that we didn't give you the numbers you asked for. I'm sure we responded, and we pay anything that's unauthorized, we do cover. So you're really talking about authorized transactions that we have an enormous amount of systems to stop, and the amount of fraud relatively is very small for this free of charge service.
I very much appreciate that you're going to give the commercial for Zelle, but if I don't have the numbers, I don't have any way to verify that.
You're going to get them immediately, okay?
You want to give me a ballpark right now?
I don't have the number in front of me.
Do you know generally? This is a serious problem that's been going on in this bank.
I will get you the number immediately. I don't want to make it up.
Well, I don't want you to make it up either, but I don't want you to wait another 2.5 months before I get to see. Very simple data.
I promise you by the end of the day today, you'll get it.
Terrific. All right, we'll get it by the end of the day once nobody's here to talk about it. How about you, Mr. Scharf? Do you have numbers?
I don't here. I apologize for not getting it to you, but we'll get it to you immediately.
Does anybody here have numbers? Yes, Mr. Cesari, good.
First, I apologize that we didn't get you the numbers. We transact about $1.1 billion a month, 3 million transactions, 0.07% have fraud involved.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's not the number I asked for. The number I asked for is how many customer fraud claims have you received? Mr. Diamond wanted to say, well, we, the bank, are going to determine what we think is a fraud claim that we think should be reimbursed. What I need to see is the number coming in on the front end. And that is how many customers held up their hand, called the bank, and said, I have a fraud complaint with Zelle. It's not hard. I presume you guys collect this information.
We do.
What's your number?
0.07 on fraud, 0.05 on customers raising their hand.
How many, I'm sorry, I just need a real number. How many customer complaints have you received of fraud on the Zelle system since 2018?
I don't have that number in front of me, but I will get it to you by the end of the day.
Anybody else? Mr. Jimchak?
I know the percentages. 6 basis points of scams and fraud. Fraud is
As
much
you
less.
define it, right?
Total disputes are 6 basis points.
You know, what troubles me here is the one person who gave us numbers The numbers are pretty alarming. And the overall numbers are enormous. We know of at least $500 million in transactions. May not seem like a lot of money to you, but to the person who just lost $450, it's a lot of money to them. So let me ask this the other way around. This would not be the same kind of problem if the bank stood behind the product. After all, you're the ones who invented it, you're the ones who made it work, you're the ones who profit off it. And then when customers say, I've got a problem, you say, I'm only going to reimburse a narrow slice of those who hold up their hands and say that they have been defrauded on the system. But we could fix that problem right now in this committee. If you would all be willing to say, or any of you would be willing to say, if a customer is defrauded on Zelle and they come and complain to the bank, then the bank will make it good. Let's do this one by a show of hands. Who is willing to make that commitment to your customers?
Senator, we are working, the owners of EWS are actually working. We are a closed network owned by banks, so you're exactly correct that we have an ability to make a difference here, and we are working on an answer to your question. We're in the throes of figuring it out. Now, let me continue, please. Zelle is one of the P2P networks that you highlight. The others have 15 times the number of disputes coming into our company that we have no ability to have
Jim
insight
Shaq-
into.
Senator Warren,
Mr.
time has expired.
Let me just finish here, if I can, please. I just want to say on this, you tell me you are so much better than the others, and yet you've had 2.5 months to bring the data forward, and you have not produced any numbers on this. I'm sorry, your credibility right now is riding at zero.
Senator
You
Rounds.
created
Senator
the
Rounds. Senator
perfect
Rounds.
weapon for criminals to
Warren.
use, and they have used it, and you have not stood behind your customers. Look, you are inviting this
Senator Warren, your
come in
time
and
has
regulate
expired.
this.